Alright everyone, there have been at least 3 separate terrorist incidents in London over the last couple of hours. There was apparently a van on the London Bridge that veered off out of traffic and smashed into a bunch of pedestrians. I believe at the last count one of them is dead. About half a dozen have been injured, although it may very well be more now. There was a stabbing incident, and then some other as yet apparently unlisted incident has happened in, I believe it's called Borough Market, although that may be the stabbing incident. There's also a place called Vauxhall, I believe, where there was another terrorist incident. So I'm going to presume that these were coordinated in some degree, as in this was a terrorist cell. Now, Sadiq Khan, who lords over these people and sees no problem with them, will come out tomorrow or later today. So, yeah, I'm very sorry, it's terrible. But we Londoners have to stick together and keep doing things the way that we're currently doing things. After all, if we change strategy because a strategy simply is not working, it's like an admission of defeat or something. Instead, let's just be insane and keep doing the same stupid stuff over and over. Now, I feel very sorry for the people in the UK. In all parts of the UK, it doesn't really matter what part. Scotland, doesn't matter. Wales, North Ireland, England. I feel sorry for all of you, because you have your Brexit, and you're getting ready to cast aside post-national authority from the EU, which means you can control your own borders, your own economy. You should be able to make good decisions. Then you have this retarded election in which you have a couple of total morons running for office. I've had so many people, they message me, they want me to weigh in on the UK election. What am I supposed to say? Both of the people who are likely to hold the highest position in the land are dumb. Both of your mainstream parties are dumb. The Tory party over there, to me, looks dumb. The Labour movement over there is dumb. SNP is dumb. They're all dumb. Yeah, you've got some severe problems. Having a Brexit alone isn't going to help you. At this point, with the apparent political strangulation over there, and then these terrorist attacks that keep happening, they're like a dime a dozen at this point. I feel really sorry for people in the UK. Some people thought I was making light of it before. I'm not making light of it. I'm pointing out you have a problem. Unwillingness to say that you have a problem is not going to help you. You need to begin getting a little bit angry about the fact that your leaders, so-called, have sold you out over there. So now you've got a terrorist attack on the London Bridge of all places. I would think that just the fact that it happened there would get people to wake up at least a little. But it seems like the British people are so fast asleep that they would rather dick around over whether or not Scotland should have more power on its own than worry about people that are already in the country that want to blow things up. It's nonsense. So now more people are dead and injured. Some of those injured, as usual, will probably be permanently debilitated. They'll be reliant upon the government to take care of them because zealots were allowed into the country. And keep in mind who the mayor of London is. Some dude who's such a zealot. He pretends not to be, but I see right through him. The reason he wants to ban swimsuit ads on the side of buses has nothing to do with wanting to protect women and not body shame them. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with his religious zealotry. That's what it has to do with. That's why he'll make any excuse for people that are in the United Kingdom that want to conduct all forms of crime, including terrorist attacks. I don't care if people find it insensitive or politically incorrect to say such things. I'm not in the UK. I'm not bound by their weird blasphemy laws or whatever you have against Islam over there. I can point out how I see it. Religion is a cancer in this world largely. Organized religion drives people to violence on a regular basis. And there are people in the Western world, the so-called secular enlightened world, who are too blind to see this. Because they've been conditioned now for years to see an us versus them about people from other countries in the third world who often look different, they speak differently, they speak a different language, they have a different culture, so they're sacrosanct. Any criticism of them is labeled as bigotry. I don't see it that way. It's no different from Christianity. If there were a group of Christians in the UK setting off nail bombs and driving into groups of pedestrians, wouldn't you want to do something about it? Wouldn't you want to crack down on that group and preserve your society against that violence? Or would you bury your head in the sand, say, we need to keep doing what we're doing now because it's obviously working so well? That's the problem with the EU. The UK escapes out from under the European Union. And then it goes right back into having the same problems because of the idiot mayor of London and the idiot politicians who want to lead your country. There's no difference between Theresa May and Corbyn there, or Corbyn, or whatever the fuck his name is. They look the same to me. They're two turds. They both want to lead your country into a swamp, essentially. I think Theresa May, being the lesser of two evils, doesn't even matter at this point. The UK is screwed if the people of the UK aren't even allowed to speak out against the problems that they have, which they clearly aren't. You'll be labeled as a bigot. Should be voting for somebody from UKIP or something like that, but people over there seem to have gobbled up the propaganda about them having a radical viewpoint or something like that, to the point at which it looks like the labor movement, from this side of the pond, correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like the labor movement wants to conflate the so-called conservative, the Tory party there, with UKIP and say, oh, well, they're just, they're part of a coalition, or, the Tories are just UKIP light at this point. That's what it appears to be to me. The reality is, your Tory movement over there just wants to censor the internet more. That's their grand, glorious scheme for dealing with the Islamic terrorism problem. Oh, we censor the internet more. Make sure people don't criticize Islam so much. Nobody will have a reason to attack us. It worked so well for every other culture for the last 500-600 years. It works so fucking well. We might as well try it. 99th time is the charm, or something like that. Meanwhile, your Labour Party over there wants to throw you in the re-education camp gulag if you speak out against the government at all. So, yeah, there's my weighing in on the UK's election system. Now you've got more dead civilians. Wonderful. In the wake of Manchester, it happens again. Your police there... I'll read a sentence here and remark with amusement what I'm seeing from The Independent. By the way, the link in the description that's archived is BBC. The Independent, apparently, it's so dystopian they won't even allow you to archive their links half the time anymore. They've inserted some sort of fucking retarded script to keep you from doing that. I'm thinking about just copying it out, slap it on a blog post, and archive that instead, so that you can read their article and screw them. Here's The Independent talking about this. London is reeling after armed police scrambled to respond to 3 reported incidents, with 1 person reported to have been killed and a number left injured. Armed police. That's because most of your police aren't even armed over there. This might be why you have a problem. People commit crimes in a wanton manner. They know, the first person who shows up, they're going to be carrying, what are they going to be carrying? A billy club? Maybe. They can't even carry that without a license. They'll carry a spoon. They carry a cup of tea or something, a bunch of balloons. A dildo. Wise up. You think that that's a polite, safe culture. Do you feel safe in London now? After all of these attacks, do the people of the UK feel safe in their own cities? I bet most of them don't, but they're not willing to tell you that. They're not willing to talk about it unless it's in an online forum. I've said now for more than a year, if you go on 4chan where everything's anonymous, you find the real truth about how people from a country feel. You talk to people from the UK there, many of them are very, very bitter. They still think that they're more civilized than the US and, everywhere else in the world. Still a little bit egotistical, but they realize that there's a friggin' problem. But they're never going to tell you that in person if you try to talk to them, because they're afraid of being profiled by the government if they come out and say that there's a problem. Oh, yeah, the government's doing a fine job. I would never criticize the Queen's Prime Minister or, whatever the House of Lords is. I guess a bunch of people with hereditary nobility who sit there and form a sort of de facto Senate or something. I don't understand. I just don't understand it. How can you possibly be okay with the way things are going there? Oh, we need to censor the native population some more, says the conservative movement. Oh, we need to censor them even more than that, says the labor movement. That's screwball stuff. That's crazy talk. That's not the land of adults. That's not living in reality. That's living in, literally, 1984 or something. Yeah, it's double plus good to have a bunch of people coming in from other countries who practice an extreme variant of religion. A politicized religious movement who really do want to kill non-believers because they think it'll gain them paradise. It doesn't matter how many perfectly peaceful moderate Muslims move into the UK. All you need is a handful of people who aren't totally peaceful. Your government enables that. Meanwhile, all the Christians... When's the last time you heard of a group of severe, hardline evangelical fire and brimstone Christians in the UK, randomly bombing things? I guess you have to talk about Irish separatism before you can find any examples of these things. They want to conflate the two, like that particular political struggle that has to do over the sovereignty of North Ireland has something in common with an imperialistic caliphate movement. That doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't. I don't get it. Theresa May versus Corbyn. Meanwhile, bombs are going off all over the UK. People are driving into groups of civilians on the London Bridge. Mass stabbing incidents. More bombs going off. Things burning to the ground. And people there apparently think it's okay. That's normal, says Sadiq Khan. You live in a big city, yeah, you gotta get used to terrorism. Just get fucking used to it. We spent years and years disarming people to make a safe, polite society with low gun crime and an absence of all this brutish shit that they do in the United States. But just get used to being bombed on the regular. It's part of living in the big city. You realize what would happen if a politician over here told people just deal with it? Get used to the occasional bomb going off? You realize what would happen? You're living in a dystopia and you don't even realize it. You've been told it's paradise. Like it's some godly utopian way to live. It's not. There used to be a time years ago when I said, oh yeah, I'd like to go visit Europe. Bullshit, I'm not visiting Europe anytime soon unless it's apparently Poland. Poland, the one, developed place left in Europe, of all places. Post-Soviet, abused by everybody since the 30s and 40s, and they're doing better than anybody else in Europe. It doesn't make sense to me. How can you people live this way? It's a shame, really, for such advanced, civilized individuals to have to deal with this crap from their government. And nobody even gets angry over it, except for a handful of people that your state media immediately labels a bunch of skinhead Nazis or something. It's crazy. So screw the election over there. It doesn't... Go ahead and vote for whoever you want. It doesn't even matter. It's not going to solve the problem. Sadiq Khan will still be there. Your policies will still be warped. It won't even have any bearing on Brexit. It'll still happen, but it'll be so watered down it won't even matter. There's your future. A nice dark future for the UK. I hate to say that, but, you'd need at this point probably a revolution or you're doomed. And that's not going to happen because you're all disarmed. So, sorry about that. You might as well immigrate elsewhere to greener pastures. Leave the UK behind. Let it turn into a caliph state. Don't say that people didn't warn you. That's about all. Peace out.